So the rule of thirds, we've all heard of it, and we've all been told at one point or another that you should follow the rule of thirds. You should always follow the rule of thirds. But for a lot of the new photographers out there, myself included, when I was first starting out, I had no idea what it was. I had no idea how to use it. All I knew was that every once in a while I would pull up my screen and there would be a bunch of lines going through it. So today, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the rule of thirds, as well as when to break the rule of thirds in 5 minutes or less. This is episode 2 of Quick Tips. All right, let's get a timer started now. So the rule of thirds, imagine this. You've got 2 lines that go vertically in your screen and 2 lines that go horizontally in your screen. And basically, these lines, when they're both on the screen together, divide your image into 9 separate sections, 9 separate chunks. And those 4 lines intersect at 4 distinct points. And so what the rule of thirds says is that when you're composing a photo, when you're composing a video, your subject, whether that's a human face, a object, a landscape, whatever is important in your image, you should place that important part of your image either along one of the lines, vertically or horizontally, or place the subject or important part of your image right at one of those intersecting points. And the rationale behind placing the important parts of your image along those points or along those lines is that whenever you're creating an image, there's going to be something that you want to draw the viewer's attention to. Whether that's a person, whether it's a landscape, whether it's an object, whatever it is that you want the person looking at your photo or looking at your video to immediately draw their eyes to, you want to make it easier for them to get their eyes there. So let's look at that in practice. Take this image for example. It's a landscape shot, but the mountains or the horizon line falls along this bottom horizontal line. The sky basically takes up 2/3 of the image, and then the foreground basically takes up the bottom third of the image. Now let's take a look at an example of a portrait. In this photo, the subject or the person in the portrait is placed along the left vertical line. And notice how the person's face is placed on the image exactly where the horizontal line that goes along the top of the image intersects with the vertical line that the subject is placed on. So here we basically have an example of 2 uses of that rule of thirds grid on the same image. Now here's the thing, the rule of thirds isn't exactly something that you have to follow every single time. It's something that you can intentionally break, but pay attention to that word intentionally, because if you break it without knowing why that you're breaking it, you might get an image that doesn't convey what you want it to in the end of the day. The subject in this portrait is looking over her right shoulder and looking basically towards the left side of our image. Now, if we place the subject along the leftmost vertical line, so our eyes do naturally get drawn exactly where we want them to go. But because this photo now has a bunch of negative space and the person is looking away from that negative space, it now gives us this feeling that this person is somehow trying to avoid what our eyes are not seeing. So now, if we move the subject from the left vertical line and line her up with the right vertical line, but still have that intersecting point be where her face is, you now get this feeling that she's looking longingly over to where the negative space is. Hey, I can't help but notice that you're not subscribed. If you're watching this video, it probably means you love photography or love filmmaking just like I do, and you're very interested in watching videos about it. And that's exactly what I do here on this channel. I've been a photographer and a videographer for many years, and I want to share some of that experience and be creative and create fun videos for you guys to enjoy. So if that's something that you're interested in, please hit that subscribe button and make sure you get the bell on so you know when a new video comes out. All right, let's get back to it. And that takes us to another reason why we might consider wanting to break the rule of thirds, and that's negative space. Negative space is basically just the parts of the image that don't really have anything in it. What it does is it leads us to imagine and try to understand what is there in the image that we can't see. And negative space can really be effective in creating certain feelings in an image. In the previous example that we looked at, one of those pictures made us think, well, what is this person trying to avoid? Whereas if we simply switch her over to the other side of the picture and put the negative space where the subject is looking, it suddenly makes us feel like that this subject is longing for something that we don't see there. Additionally, using negative space can create different feelings of scale. So let's take a look again at this landscape photo and now crop it to where the mountains, instead of occupying the bottom third of the image, now only occupy a very small sliver at the bottom. It suddenly makes the sky feel so much bigger and the mountains feel so much smaller. This can be used to create different feelings of vastness, of emptiness. You can make a photo look somewhat eerie if you have this expanse going into nowhere. There's a lot of things that you can do with negative space that is going to change the feeling that you give to your viewer. Another reason why we might want to break the rule of thirds is if we have leading lines in our image. Take a look at this portrait, for example, where the subject or the couple is at the very top of the staircase, but we have this nice big line that leads our eyes directly to where we want them to go. Now, this couple isn't exactly placed in the image where a rule of thirds would apply, but our eyes still go directly there. So there you have it, a quick rundown of how to use the rule of thirds as well as when you should break it. Now, there's a lot more that we can go into about the rule of thirds that we simply don't have time in 5 minutes or less. So if you guys want to see a more long-form, in-depth video about the rule of thirds, please leave a comment down below. Now, if there's anything else that you guys want to see in this quick tip series where we go over photo tips and tricks in 5 minutes or less, leave those in the comments down below as well. If you liked this video and you thought it was helpful, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more videos like this and want to know when the next video comes out, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn the notifications on. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next one.